Was the chair of energy for several years, and it's a huge learning curve. It can be done, but it is very significant. And there's a lot of room for political influence and decision making because of the nature of how our energy company operates within the city.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch, brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. Councillor Alison Van Dyke joins us now on the porch, looking to have another 4 years on City Council. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we were talking before we went on the air here that no discussion would be complete without looking back at the last 4 years. Members of the general public have been watching Council. They've formed opinions based on what they think they know, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to go over the past 4 years from your perspective as a member of that council.
Yeah, I think that when I started 4 years ago, I had a good sense of what the work would entail. I was unprepared about some of the interpersonal issues that would maybe arise. And of course, that occurs in any kind of a business setting, you know, the old office politics kind of thing. But yeah, I was well prepared for the work of council, and I love that work, and I loved working on behalf of the residents of the city of Medicine Hat. But it was honestly a bit of a disappointing run to have so much of the good work that was done by council kind of tainted by the interpersonal conflict and drama that occurred during this term.
There was a lot of drama there. I said that the Monday night YouTube live streams of the council became almost like must-see TV. People were going to know, what are they going to do now? It's like a reality show, and that's unfortunate.
It is. I mean, it's a great way to get people involved in municipal politics, maybe, that might not otherwise have cared, but I wish it was for a different reason, yeah.
Yeah. When we were speaking with Councillor Shala Sharps, she said that her hope would be that the next council would be trained in HR. Do you think that that would have helped if you had that training 4 years ago?
I'm not sure about HR training so much as the separation of operations and governance. So I think that if there's people on council who have not worked in that environment before, it can be a difficult transition to understand where one role starts and the other ends. I'm fortunate because I work under a board, and I have been on a lot of boards as well. So I came in with a really good understanding of what was operational and what was governance. So for me, that line has always been quite clear. But I think that if you don't have that kind of experience going into it, it's a little harder to know what your role is. And I think that also in our orientation, because they were doing so much information sharing about the organization, a lot of operational information was shared, and it might have given the impression that council had a role in that.
As a councillor, do you think that maybe the public doesn't understand the role of a councillor? They might think, well, you're a councillor, you can do anything, you can order anything, yeah. You can make this happen. They don't understand that there's another side, the administrative side.
Right. That is very much a misconception. I often see and hear people talking about, why hasn't the city council done something about the potholes in the streets? Honestly, if I encounter a pothole on the street, I do the same as what we tell residents to do. I use the submit a complaint or a ticket portal on the website to say, hey, there's a pothole in this location, or hey, there's a light out on this. All the light standards have a identifying marker on them. I submit a ticket the same as everybody else because that's operational, that's not governance. The role of the council is to set a strategic plan and then to make sure that the operations are aligning with that plan and then funding the work of the plan.
So you as a councillor wouldn't go into somebody's office and, I have a problem here, I want you to fix it.
No.
You're not allowed to do that.
No, what we're supposed to do is refer all issues like that. So when a resident from the community sends us an email or a phone call and it's about something operational, all I do is we submit that over to the city manager. It goes through them to be dealt with operationally. So what we're encouraged to do is actually tell people to submit those through the portal, because then it goes directly to the department that can deal with it. What should come to us is more political opinion. So when we're making a decision on something, people letting us know their opinions on that decision, that's what we control. But if it's filling a pothole or aligning the lights on Dunmore Road so that you don't get stuck at every intersection, that's operational.
Okay. Now, we have seen at the City Council meeting on the 29th of September, I think you put the motion in to start the ball rolling to perhaps dismiss the city manager. Where is that going to go now?
There's a fairly prescribed process through the MGA, and so that will just have to follow that process. I don't have it in front of me to tell you what it is.
But there is a process.
Yes, yeah. And in any like corporate situation too, there's kind of best practice that we all have to follow. And
I've seen already the headlines that the city council fires the manager. That's not a done deal yet.
Well, it's a bit of a misleading headline. Yeah. It was a notice of termination, which is, it's not the exact
And again,
phrasing.
Under the Municipal Government Act, you have to follow
yes,
that which comes from the province.
Yeah, we have to follow their procedures, yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that the work of the last 4 years has been tainted a little bit because of all the drama and turmoil. What do you think the good things that happened in the past 4 years were and maybe got forgotten?
Yeah, I think tainted for some things, but overlooked for a lot, because there was a lot of good work happening during that time. And a lot of things that I campaigned on in 2021 occurred during the last 4 years, and I'm really proud of that work. So the environmental framework was created and approved. So previous to that, we had no in-force environmental policy at the city. We also now have a current social well-being or community well-being social policy, which previously the one I think was from 2004, and it was like 7 pages, large font, very basic. So there was a lot of gaps in the policy work of the city that kind of establishes the action that would come out of those things. And without having that overarching policy, there's no work going to happen in those areas. So also the expansion of the fair entry program, I think, was very significant as well. Just a lot of energy strategy and water management, which in this corner of the province is so important. We're very dependent on upstream water suppliers, and we live in a semi-arid desert, so drought is a significant issue here. So there's been a lot of great work done by staff and council, and it's just unfortunate that people are maybe not aware of that work.
How is the staff morale at City Hall? Because that's the other side of the question. We've heard over the years that perhaps it wasn't a very happy place to be working in.
Well, I can't really speak to that because, again, I'm in governance, not in operations. So it's not really our place to be in amongst staff. Like, we have one employee, right? So
that's the city manager.
That's the city manager. So my interaction with staff is very limited in this role.
Okay. One of the issues that City Council, the next City Council will have to deal with is the utilities, whether or not we want to allow a municipally controlled corporation to take over the day-to-day operations of the utility and the energy department. Where are you sitting on that?
Well, I had a pretty significant experience in that, as I was the chair of energy for several years. And it's a huge learning curve. It can be done, but it is very significant. And there's a lot of room for political influence and decision-making because of the nature of how our energy company operates within the city. The administration has brought us 6 options, and they're going to be right now costing those. And then also kind of fleshing out with some scenarios as well to see how those scenarios would play out in the different options they've presented. I'm leaning more towards, of the 6, number 5, or even possibly number 6, which would create kind of an arm's length rate review committee, which would review things like rates with industry experts. I think it provides a bit of fairness. It increases public feedback, and I think it would be a good option going forward. So we would have some of the benefits of the MCC without the cost and the, sorry, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for, like when the MCC would reduce the accountability to the city and residents. So by going in this alternative route, we would still have that accountability in place.
One of the misconceptions I've heard in the community is that the city wants to get rid of the gas utility or the electric utility. It's one of the things that people are talking about. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that's going to happen?
No, so we have the gas production company, which we are winding down because we don't really have gas anymore. Mm-hmm. So the gas city is a bit of a misnomer at this point. We purchase all of our gas for power production off of the market, and about 90% for home use off of the market as well. So that entire division is winding down. Energy production, even if it isn't lucrative in sales to the rest of the province, still provides an essential service to residents. We can't live without electricity. So even if it's only breaking even, it's still doing the job it was meant to do, which is provide electricity, reliable electricity to the residents of Medicine Hat. And then our distribution system is a separate system as well, which we also run. But I have been and would continue to be opposed to the sale or spinning off of those separately from the city.
The other side of this is that when you control your own electric utility, you control the supply. So if a developer wants to come in and build in Medicine Hat, you are able to meet the needs. You don't have to rely on the third party from outside Medicine Hat to do what you need to do.
Yeah, so our managing director of Energy, Land and Environment calls that vertical integration. So when companies are looking to come to Medicine Hat, it's a one-stop shop at City Hall. So essentially we could help you find land, we can help you with utilities, we can talk about adding a bus transit stop in front of the business if your employees need public transit to your place of work. It's essentially just like we can fulfill all the needs in one place for you.
That was one of the topics that came up during the forums too, is I think they were referring to it as a concierge, a fancy word for somebody at City Hall who would take a would-be developer through their steps at City Hall and get them in touch with all the different departments that they need to talk to in order to do whatever their project is. Do you think we do a good job of that?
Well, we do have people in our economic development department that essentially do that work now when they're bringing in opportunities or helping people interested in coming into our community. And I don't know that we have a specific staff person that is named City of Medicine Hat Concierge, but I know that we have very capable staff that do that work right now, yeah.
Okay. Economic development has been a football that has been kicked around in every electoral campaign that I have covered since 1978, and I've said here that the fact that it continues to be an issue, maybe somebody isn't doing it right. Do you think that maybe we need to empower somebody to actually go out and beat the bushes instead of waiting for them to come to us? Yeah,
they actually do that. So that's another misconception, I think, that everyone's just sitting back in their offices and not doing anything to seek out bringing industry into the city. That does happen. We're working with our regional partners right now to develop regional strengths, so we know who we should be trying to attract here to build on existing industry and to play to our strengths.
Okay. The other issue that has come up frequently in the forums is the issue of the homeless, and that sort of rolls into affordability and taxation. It's like a circle that goes around. I believe it was a week ago at one of the forums when you said Medicine Hat is very good at coordinating the social services side, and you are involved in your business life with that. As you are closer to this than most people are, what do you think we need to do?
Well, we have a really fantastic nonprofit social services group in the city that coordinate a lot of the work, are very collaborative, but there's a few things here. So generally in society, we're seeing a trend towards, the inability to properly deal with mental health issues and addictions. Affordability is obviously causing a crisis where people are losing their homes or access to housing because of costs. And breakdowns of the breakdown of family is a really significant contributor to issues around this as well. If you talk to Medicine Hat Community Housing, they'll tell you that. So, I mean, we can try and do the best we can as a community. Unfortunately, there's really always going to be a lack of resources. And you also can't make people do things that they don't want to do. And that's, I think, an important thing. I think there's this idea that we can somehow strong arm people into changing, but if they're not ready to change and don't want to, they're not going to. And all we can do in the meantime is essentially harm reduction and try and protect them through their choices until they decide they want to make that change for themselves.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people say, well, just lock them up. That's the easy answer. Just lock them up.
Well, you can't arrest your way out of this. Yeah. And that uses a tremendous amount of resources too, right? So you think about policing hours, putting them in jails, fining them, who's going to pay the fines? It's going into the courts. What is the point of that? If we know that people can't pay those fines or tickets, then why are we doing it? I am completely sympathetic to people who experience issues with their homes and businesses. In relation to this, it's very difficult, and I understand that. We do the best we can. As a city council, we funded additional policing. We've added programming for crime prevention through environmental design. The Peace Team is a team that is a collaborative team between the police and community organizations and Alberta Health Services to go out in the community to encampments and try and support people in moving out of those situations. So we're, as a community, we're doing a lot of great work. Unfortunately, the need is kind of ever expanding. And like I said in the forum too, we're on two highways. We're on the crossroads of Highway 1 and 3. And so we're always going to have people moving through this community. Regardless of how well the community is dealing with the issue, there's going to be people always coming and going.
So it's almost like an onion, many different layers.
Very much so, yes. It's unfortunately a very complex problem, and even with everyone working together well with the best intentions, it's not immediately solvable.
You talked about affordability, and one of the things that has come up as an issue too is property taxes and utility rates. Mm-hmm. They are set to go up again, I think, for the next budget cycle. Difficult to set those rates, I think, at City Council, because you know that there's people that cannot afford that. But you also mentioned that the fair entry system has helped some people too. So you have a tough job to set those rates, and remember that there's people affected by those rates one way or the other.
Yeah, so there's two views of affordability. So some people, when they talk about affordability, they mean reducing property taxes and reducing utility rates. And then there's another discussion on affordability, which means increasing services so that more people with less access can have better lives in the community. So it really depends on what definition of affordability you're looking at. Unfortunately, yes, our property taxes have had to go up. We had 2 years of zeros during COVID, including our largest union with the city took 2 years of zeros as well, in a time when it was very difficult to do so. And then we had kind of exponential inflation after that. And so the city has experienced all those things that residents are experiencing, the city's experiencing as well, with costs of labor and supplies, materials they use for projects. So it really becomes a balancing act of what do we need, what do we want, what has to be done. We look at Calgary and we look at that water main break, and we don't want to have that happen here. So we have to maintain our infrastructure, and it's like being a homeowner. It's cheaper to maintain your property than to have to fix something after the fact when it's failed. So trying to find that very tricky balance of making sure we're maintaining all of the services and assets in the community that people expect to have while not overburdening the taxpayer.
And the temptation is with a large reserve account to, well, we'll just take some money out of reserve to pay for this.
Yeah, well then eventually it's all gone. So, and some of those reserves are, they're restricted funds, right? They're set aside. So one is the endowment fund, which we can use the interest from, but not the principal itself. We have the Energy Transition Fund, which is necessary given the state of the world and the changes in our energy systems and expectations on that. And then our Abandonment and Reclamation Fund as well, because the city is responsible into perpetuity for those gas wells that we have, that we own, and we have to make sure that we can take care of those.
You mentioned infrastructure and fixing before you get into something new. We have some recreational facilities here that come to mind. Crescent Heights swimming pool has been sitting empty for a couple of years, and there's some thought that maybe we consolidate and build a new South Side Recreation Center that would have a pool. Are you in favor of that?
I am in favor of that. So the South Side is really underserved when it comes to, in particular, outdoor pool facilities. So it's the area of the city that we've seen the most growth in, and there's no pools over there. So we shut down Healed Pool, which was in Riverside. That was demolished in 2019. Crescent Heights Outdoor Pool was shut down, I believe, in 2020. And that was not just a maintenance issue, though. That is that when it was built, it drains into the stormwater system, which is now illegal. So provincial environmental regulations would require the complete, essentially, replumbing of the entire facility for it to go into the sewage system instead of the stormwater system. And that's, I think, at a cost of over $2 million, which is worth equivalent or more than the value of the property. So that one is a tricky one because we know people want that amenity, but it's very cost prohibitive. It's not just fixing a small thing or staffing a facility that can be reopened. It would be a major undertaking and might not be worth it. The Hill Pool was relined this year, and then we have Strathcona, but that's a very shallow pool. So it's great when your kids are really little to take them there, but kind of past age 10, it's not really an option for most families. So building something in the South Side and looking to build it in a way that will also attract tourists, I think, is a smart path forward.
And what's the status of the Crestwood Rec Center? There's a pool there as well, but it's indoor.
It's indoor, and we reopened it when we came into office. It was reopened. We voted to reopen it in the fall of 2021, and I think the work was done in time to open in the late winter, early spring of 2022. That building has some long-term structural issues that are, again, the cost of replacing or repairing it is beyond the value of the facility. So essentially it's being run to fail. So we'll use it as best we can, making repairs on it as we go, providing that the cost is not more than the value of the facility. But that is, a valued community resource. I have a lot of people in the community who really enjoy that space, and it gets used heavily for things like aquafit.
Yeah. Another facility the city put money into in the last year is the Moose Rec Center.
Yes.
The ice, I think, there needed to be...
the slab had to be replaced. Yeah, it was cracked, and there was brine leaking issues there as well.
And I'm wondering about the Crescent Heights Hockey Hounds Arena, because they're both from the same era. I don't know what the fitness of that particular facility is. Yeah,
that one I think is in good condition still. I think it's been identified through Facilities for the Future that down the road we will need to add more ice sheets in the city, but it's not, since we replaced the Moose one, there's not a pressing need right now. So that's much further down the road. It's the outdoor pool, which was identified as being kind of the number one priority for the community.
Okay. Another facility on the south side is the Medicine Hat Exhibition and Stampede, and they've come to City Council with their hat in their hand.
Yes.
They've also been sent back to do some more work. Have you an opinion on that?
Well, in the last iteration, they pulled their application, so I'm not sure what that's about exactly. I'm not sure if they're looking at a different funding model or if they were looking at a different, I don't know if it was the blueprint or the plan didn't appeal to what they were looking for. So I'm not sure what it is that they're going to bring back to council. But, there's a lot of differing views in the community about that. They're a very valued part of the heritage of the city, but they are separate from the city, and a lot of people are really concerned about at a time when we're looking at increasing property taxes and affordability crisis, that an organization would be asking for such a significant fund.
One of the things that has been a topic of discussion around Medicine Hat is the Samus Solar Project, and you've been involved on the Energy Department in the committee over the last number of years. You've seen some of the information on that. Some people say it's a good idea. Some people say it's a bad idea. Some even called it a boondoggle. What do you think?
It's not a boondoggle. It's established technology. It's an opportunity for us. And one thing I really appreciate about city staff is they've made sure that they've maintained optionality for the city moving forward. So there's still the option of selling it. There's still the option of partnering. There's the option of someone else building it and us having a power purchase agreement. But if we hadn't made that initial step, we wouldn't have had those options available to us. And we really have to think about, well, going back to your previous question, attracting industry to our community. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing a lot of now is industry coming in, or existing industry wants access to renewable energy. And if we can't provide it to them, they're not going to come here. So that's part of the equation as well. If we want economic growth and we want to appeal to these companies to come in, we have to be able to provide them with what they need.
I asked Shyla Sharps this, and I've also asked Mayor Clark this after the last 4 years, why anybody would want to re-up for this. If it was me, I'd probably go running into the night. So I'll ask you, why does Alison Van Dyke want to re-up for another 4 years?
Well, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I really love the work. I love the opportunity to learn so much about our city. We are, this municipality runs a lot more services than other communities. So the breadth of information that you get to learn about and discuss and make decisions on is enormous. So that has been really fascinating. I love the community. I'm fourth generation here, and I hope that at least one of my children will stay. And so it's really important to me that this be a really vibrant community, a thriving community that I live in, and I want my family to have a great future in as well. So that's important to me, and I want to see that work through. And I love all the people that I've been able to work with and the community members, and I really appreciate the opportunity to represent their values at the council table.
Alison Van Dyke, candidate for re-election to Medicine Hat City Council on October 20th. Thank you for the visit.
Thank you very much.